is Sydney Williams, and I was on episode 84 and episode 131, which are both linked in the description. And I'm going to share a chapter from my book today. If you aren't familiar with my story, I'll do a quick introduction, a little bit about me, and then we'll move into the reading. So, my name is Sydney, like I said, and I am currently in the mountains in Julian, California. And hi, Melissa. Nice to see you. So if anybody has any questions, I would love to answer them. You can feel free to pop those into the comments, and I will have a sip of water while you do that. And then if you have questions, I'll answer them. And if you don't, then I'll peace out.
So what was that all about?
I was doing a book reading for the She Explores Facebook group.
She Explores, what's that?
It's a podcast that several hundreds of thousands of people listen to. So I was just doing a little, I read chapter 2, How Did We Get Here, in the book.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's the start of my virtual book tour.
Excellent.
Yeah. So far, so good. We'll see how it goes. But at one point, there were like 11 people watching, so that's good. That's the most I've had on any of these. So.
I mean, people will watch the replay, right?
Yeah. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Yeah, so. Anywho, it's fun. It's just good practice for my audiobook.
Yep.
Pretty excited about it.
What kind of hair do you have?
I have Faith Hill hair today.
Yeah.
Like Faith Hill in the 90s.
Are you closer to God?
I'm closer to God.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, you got a big day today.
Yeah, I'm doing an interview with Marianne Pestana. She used to be a producer on PBS, and she has a podcast called Moments with Marianne, and she's a producer on another show on NBC or something, so we'll see.
I thought it was NPR. Oh, PBS?
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't PBS and NPR the same thing?
Yeah, well, they're both public stations. One's radio, one's TV.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's not NPR. She used to be a producer on PBS.
Oh.
And she's got her own podcast. That's what I'm being interviewed for.
Okay.
So it's not as big of a deal as you thought it was, but I'm still excited about it.
Oh, no, it's a big deal, I think. She's got a bunch of followers.
Yeah.
It's right up your alley.
Yeah. So we'll see. Well, I think the first thing is to take a look at yourself and where you want to go and why you want to do this. Because for me, this whole thing was never a weight loss journey. It was never about like what my body would look like when I was done. There was a very distinct shift where I went from what does my body look like and what does that say about my worth in society to what is my body capable of and where can it take me. I think before you even get started hiking is like, what's your mindset and what's your intention for doing this? Because if you go in here thinking like, I'm going to go do one hike and lose 30 pounds, like that's not how it works. So I think like having a clear intention for why you want to spend more time outside and what you're hoping to gain from it is great. And just to be clear that you're not confusing an intention for an expectation, because if you go in with the expectation that like nature's going to heal you and you don't have to participate, that's not true either. This work is very hard and very difficult, but if you're going just to like spend more time in nature, just grab a pair of good shoes, grab a water bottle and go for a walk. Like there's a really great app called All Trails where if you download it, then you set the location settings, then you can open the app and see where a trail is close to your current physical location. So if you're brand new and you don't even know where to start on All Trails and like see what's around and then see what you're comfortable with. For me, I started by walking around my neighborhood 30-45 minutes every day when I was getting back into like the hiking physical fitness side of things. And then once that got to be too easy, and I use easy in air quotes, then I started graduating to local trails. So first things first is like get clear on your intentions for doing it, because like your mindset is a huge part of any endeavor that we take on, whether that's professional, personal, in love, in life, with our kids, with our families, whatever. Intention is huge. So make sure you're clear on what your intention is for the experience that you want to go have, and then just go have it. And if you don't like it, that's fine too. And if you love it, let that guide you, because this we are designed to walk. Like we are on 2 feet, we stand upright, like our bodies are designed for this. It's what we're naturally good at. And hiking doesn't have to be some big monstrous adventure either. Like you don't have to go up some 10,000 foot mountain and like do that tomorrow. Like start small, see how you like it, and go from there. Yeah, so our hike and heal retreat on Catalina Island is hosted by myself, my husband Barry, who is a wilderness EMT and has tons of outdoor experience. he was a professional skydiver for 16 years, and he taught people how to save their own lives. Like, he taught you how to skydive by yourself. So a lot of mindset work on our end is what we're bringing to the table, and enthusiasm for the healing power of nature. And then we're partnering with our friends, Melanie and Kaleo Wassman. Melanie is a yoga instructor and Reiki healer, and her husband Kaleo is the lead singer for a band called Pepper and also plays guitar. So they're both from Hawaii. They are both really in tune with body, spirit, how movement can influence just the way that we heal and the way we move through the world. So we start on Friday with a welcome ceremony, which is me sharing my story, why this island is so important to me, the healing that I was able to access here. And we have dinner on the beach. We camp on the beach in 2 harbors. And then we wake up, and Melanie and Kaleo will lead us through a morning yoga flow. And then we go hike. And the hike itself on the first day is about 7 miles. The first 3 miles we're going uphill, and it's pretty challenging, but we don't have anything else to do that day. Like, we're taking breaks, we're having snacks, we're talking about what's coming up for us, because while the hike is physically demanding at the start, the biggest part of that is the mental aspect of it. So walking people through that, helping them overcome what their brain is telling them their bodies can't do. And then when we get down into our next campground, then we set up camp. If you're comfort camping, then you don't have to set up. You can just start relaxing immediately. And then we'll have dinner on the beach. We'll do a campfire hot seat session, which is where everybody goes around and shares, if they want to, like what was coming up for them, what are they, they came in with an intention. Are they still aligned to that intention for what this experience will be for them? And while we're doing that, Melanie and Kaleo are facilitating like group Reiki healing around the campfire, which is just energy work, like infusing everybody with as much positive, loving, healthy energy as we can. And then we go to sleep, and we sleep next to the beach, and everything's lovely. And then we wake up and we rinse and repeat. So morning yoga, we hike back to town. And then after we have lunch, we'll head back to Avalon, where we'll relax for the afternoon. And then Kaleo's doing a VIP acoustic set for everybody that joined us for this adventure as part of our closing ceremony. So incorporating everything that I've ever cared about as far as healing goes, between, just being mindful of our energy, moving our bodies, eating healthy, delicious food, listening to music that makes you feel good. Like, the music itself makes you feel good and the lyrics are empowering. And then, arming you with the tools you need to take that into your everyday life on and off the trail when you get home.
So what was that all about?
That was probably one of the best interviews I've ever done.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think.
That was good.
Did I cuss? I said shit, but that was it.
Yeah, twice.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
She said that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is she coming on the retreat with us?
I think so. she's looking at flights right now.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
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 Always selling.
Always selling.
Yeah.
Slinging that wellness and good times and healing.
Yeah. No, you did good.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. That's a great way to start today. Let's go tack.
Yeah, you ready to go into town?
Let's go into town. Let's be towny.
Let's saddle up the horses and go into town and get some errands done.
Let's make it happen.
All right.
All right.
So what's going on here?
So we ordered some new stickers from Sticker Mule.
Ultra limited edition.
Ultra limited edition. We're gonna give these away at the retreat. So that's a coaster. That's not the sticker. Neither is that. You ready?
Yeah. Let me see here. Hard to tell because we don't have a lot of light.
Let me see if I can get this open a little bit.
Ooh. Holographic.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Those are pretty cool, dude.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
These are awesome.
Yeah.
Hey.
What you doing?
I'm doing Read Reflect Live Chapter 4.
All right.
I'm so tired.
Yeah, we had a late night last night, huh?
Late last night, yeah.
Yeah.
I am pooped. Okay.
Where did we go?
We went to a smoke flower event in Huntington Beach where there was no smoking of any flower.
All right. But plenty of high fashion.
Plenty, yes.
Some of it was even on stage.
Oh, man. What a trip. You. Good morning. I am so tired. We went to Huntington Beach last night for an event, and we didn't get home back here to Julian, California until 1 in the morning, which if you know me, you know I go to bed shortly after sunset, which these days in California is like 5 p.m. So my bedtime is usually about like 7:30, 8 if I'm feeling frisky. I'm so old. So last night was great. I just got home a little late. So, good morning. Today we are reading from chapter 4. It's called Thankful for Snaps. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to read from the book, and then I'm going to walk you through the resources, and then I'm going to do some like housekeeping type stuff, which I think will give us enough time to get caught up on the delay. So if at any point in time during any of this you have a question about last week, or you have a question about any of the previous weeks, or any of the stuff that's going on in this chapter, feel free to pop those into the comments. I think we're on a little bit of a delay here, so I don't want to like log off before you've had a chance to ask questions, because I'd love to answer questions like while we're all still here and not just in the comments. So if at any point you have a question or something that you want to share or anything about the previous weeks or this week or just stuff that's going on in your life, pop that in the comments so I can respond to it when we're done with the reading part. Cool? Sweet. So Thankful for Snaps starts on page 65 if you're following along. To get you up to speed if you've missed out on what we've been doing so far, I introduced myself in chapter 0. In chapter 1, I told you about how 2014 was terrible. Chapter 2, we talked about how I started shopping for hiking stuff and I didn't judge my body, which was kind of the really like little start to the healing journey. And then chapter 3 was the first day on trail. So now we are waking up after my first night of sleeping on the Trans-Catalina Trail. Here we go. I'm just letting you know, I'm probably going to giggle a lot during this one because this is a pretty funny chapter. So, all right, Thankful for Snaps starts on page 65. Chapter 4. I woke up the next morning and my legs were stiff beyond belief. So, chapter 4 resources. The link is in the thing. It's also in your inbox. And if you aren't getting the emails, please let me know. Also, check your spam folder and make sure that we're added to your contacts. So you get emails from Sydney at Hiking My Feelings. I almost said a different email address. Sydney at hikingmyfeelings.com, so that way you don't miss the prompts if you're not getting those emails. So, chapter 4, Thankful for Snaps. We just read it, so I'm not going to give you the summary. You already know this, but toilet paper icon, pretty self-explanatory now that you've heard me read the chapter. I almost pooped my pants on the trail. Thankful for Snaps. So if you'll remember, when I was originally getting dressed in the dressing room, I had this whole big dilemma about how the shirt didn't have buttons, it had snaps, and I was going back and forth about how I felt about that because the shirt wouldn't close properly. I was too fat for the shirt, but it was the closest size that would fit. And so I had this like vision of if this shirt had buttons, then the button would pop out, take Barry's eye out, and we'd be down an eye in a backcountry, and it was a whole big thing. And in this one, I was thankful for snaps because it was really easy to get the pants off and not so much the shirt, but the pants. So it was all good. So don't make the same mistakes that I did. Check. I include a link to the Leave No Trace principles. I'm going to read the first, the 7. We won't get too far into it, but in general, what I could have done better if I was prepared, I would have had a little shovel so I could dig a hole. I would have had just probably hand sanitizer to keep my hands clean. But as far as leaving no trace goes, I did the best I could with what I had and that I didn't leave my toilet paper behind. In a dream world, I would have dug a cat hole and then buried the poop, but I didn't have that kind of time, nor did I have the equipment. So the 7 principles of Leave No Trace, which for me, I appreciate Leave No Trace principles as it is. As an organization, they're funded mostly by corporations and they post a lot of questionable content because that content is sponsored by major corporations. So I don't know that they necessarily walk the walk all the time, especially in the world of what's going on with the internet and geotagging affecting public lands and private lands. So I'm just going to read the principles. These are good things to know. You should definitely leave no trace. As an organization, they leave a little bit to be desired for me, so I don't worship them by any stretch, but the principles are good and definitely something you should practice in the backcountry. So first one, plan ahead and prepare. That includes wearing shoes that fit. Travel and camp on durable surfaces, dispose of waste properly, leave what you find, minimize campfire impacts, respect wildlife, and be considerate of other visitors. Take those, run with them. Don't put too much merit into how they go ahead and enforce these things. So inspiration, intention, and integration this week. So the theme of this chapter was love for another. In this chapter, I share the story of how Barry and I met. I mentioned in the chapter that this was one of the things, the first time in a long time, that I had done for myself, not with any influence from anybody else. And I firmly believe that that is the reason why I met Barry when I met Barry, or my partner, whoever my partner was supposed to be. If you're sitting here and you don't have one and you want one, I think the theme to take away here is that when you start doing stuff for yourself and you show up to the activities that you want to do, not things that mom and dad said you should or things that your friends do, but you just tag along doing even though you don't really like it. When you get clear on an activity that you want to do and the kinds of people you want to spend time with, and you start surrounding yourself with people with like interests, you're more likely to find somebody who's going to be a good fit to spend some time with. So, this whole chapter is about finding love for another person. And, the affirmation this week is I give love freely and without expectation. So I say, it's important to note that love with expectations is destined for failure. And I think one of the easiest ways we can see this in relationships, especially romantic ones, is like up until a certain point, and maybe perhaps for our entire lives, unless you break free of it, we have a type. And for me, my type was sold to me by movies and TV and culture and stuff like that. Like, I wanted to date, and the only kinds of guys that I was attracted to because of all the things that I watched was guys that were like 6'4", played lacrosse or baseball, and that was my type. And they're usually white, and that was it. And as I got out in the world and I started noticing like, oh, there's lots of people who are awesome human beings that don't fit that profile, then I was able to expand my friend circle. I met this incredible human named Barry Williams who, like, if I was so married to my type that I thought I had, I wouldn't have even considered a romantic possibility with this person. But when you get into a situation where you're doing things for yourself outside of the influence of other people, then you can arrive at conclusions and make decisions for yourself based on what you actually want, not what everybody has told you you should want. So that was a huge, huge revelation for me, in that I was just attracted to the energy of this person and the physical package did not matter. And as that came together, I realized, like, one, I'm incredibly attracted to this person, and two, we've been together, I legit believe, for lifetimes before this one. And how the body manifests doesn't matter. I'm attracted to the energy. And now that I've separated myself from all the people that I thought I wanted to be friends with, or that I was entered into a relationship with without any choice, like my family, people that are like geographically close to you, where just like they're friendships of convenience. As I've moved around, as I've, expanded who I am and grown into a different person, I've come to realize that like the people in my life right now are beautiful energetic matches. And as a result, it's one of the most diverse, like as I look at my group of friends and chosen family right now, it's one of the most diverse, beautiful, uplifting, empowering groups of people I've ever had the chance to be in community with. So when you start picking things for yourself and you start defining what you actually care about, like attracts like, and you'll find your people. So there's that. So the prompt for this week, if you're sharing photos in the Facebook group, which I would love to see more of, so please feel free to do that. This week we're saying pick a photo that represents love and let the prompts below inspire your caption. So, the prompts for this week are: if you have a partner, do you remember the day you met? If you don't have a partner, imagine that you're in a safe, loving, and committed relationship. So how did you meet this person? What kind of qualities does this partner possess? How do they challenge you to be a better person? Notice I'm not saying like, what do they look like? Because it doesn't fucking matter. Like, when you think about the kinds of people you want to be spending time with, like what do you need in a relationship and what can you offer? And then all the things that you've learned along the way, like all the relationships that have failed really aren't a reflection of you. It's just an opportunity to understand what you do and don't want. So if a relationship failed and you miss something about that person, add it to the list of qualities that you enjoy. If you get done with a relationship, you're like, wow, never again this kind of quality, then now you know that that's something that you don't seek in a partner to spend time with. So everyone has different needs when it comes to this kind of stuff. So in the Bring It Home section, I link to love languages, and knowing yours, knowing your partner's. If you're a parent, learn your child's love language and learn to speak it, because then they can, like, you can actually communicate and have a relationship with your kids. Because if you're all just talking in circles about the only language you know how to speak, then that's how disconnection happens. That's how abandonment feelings happen. Even when there's no physical abandonment, emotional abandonment is real. So the second that we can all learn about what we need, learn what you need first and foremost, and how you show love and how you express it, and then allow the people that speak that language to be attracted to you instead of like forcing weird stuff that doesn't communicate well. So the song of the week was called All For You. It's by a band called Stick Figure. Again, we're back on the Stick Figure this week. And on the email and on the resource page, there's a link to a YouTube video. Have a look at that. It's the ambient version. I'm obsessed with it. And I was telling Barry when we were watching it the other day, one, like that video reminds me of how small we are and how insignificant we are in the grand scheme of things in the universe. And two, if Deep Space sounds like Stick Figure, I'm totally down for that. So that is the overview of the resources this week. I'd love to hear some more about your prompts and how you're feeling. And if you have just clued in that 9 a.m. Pacific time is now for Eastern. I don't know what that means. Okay. Well, Sarah, I hope you found that means that you're here. You're here, so that's good. I'm having a hard time reading that. So some housekeeping type stuff, and if anybody has questions about previous weeks or this week, please put them in the comments. But some housekeeping stuff. So we are headed up to San Francisco next week. I am just really looking forward to seeing some chosen family. Barry's birthday is next week. He wouldn't tell you that, but I'm gonna. So on Saturday is Barry's birthday. And so we're just gonna go up there. I'm gonna get some writing done. We're hanging out with the chosen fam, and then hopefully seeing a little concert for Barry's birthday. And when we get back, then we are jumping straight into the last like ramp up before we go on the tour. Like time has been flying since we've been home. So the newest addition to the calendar is we have 3 new events that we put up this week. The first 2 are we're doing the 5 Peak Challenge again. So if you're based in San Diego or Southern California and you want to do the 5 Peak Challenge at Mission Trails Regional Park, Barry and I did this in one day when we were training for the Trans-Catalina Trail back in 2018. It was awesome. I loved it. We tried to do it in one day last year. Didn't work out. I got super sick before the last 2 peaks. So we are breaking it up over 2 weekends. On the 22nd, we are doing Cowles and Piles. And then on the 29th, we're doing North and South Fortuna and Quaipe Peak. And the way the 5 Peak Challenge works is we go do I'm doing this like a hike and sign event. So we'll do a reading at the trailhead. We'll go do the hike. We'll come back down. I'll sign books. And the way the 5 Peak Challenge in particular works is when we get to each summit, they all have signs and we take a selfie at the summit. And then when we get done with the 5 Peak Challenge on the 29th, what we'll do is we'll go to the visitor center, we'll show them our selfies, and then you get a certificate saying that you completed the 5 Peak Challenge. Like that's how they verify that you did it. So the first one I think is 7 miles and the second one is 10 or vice versa. So it's a little bit longer than the stuff we've been doing so far this year, which is good for you. If you like longer hikes, please come join us. And if you're working up towards those kinds of distances, feel free to join us for as little or as much as you want. If you just want to join us for 1 peak each weekend because you're like ramping up to it, we'd love to have you. And both of those nights we're also doing the campouts. And just to share a little bit of the format of what the campouts are like for anybody that's been reading about it and has been thinking about participating but hasn't yet. So if you do a camp out with us, we go and we do the book reading, we go do the hike, we do the book signing, and then when we get done, we go and we grab food, grab a lunch, brunch, depending on what time we get done. And then if it's a later day, then we'll just go straight back to the ranch and we'll have a family style dinner. We'll make some s'mores. We'll chat around the campfire. Some people want to do journaling. Some people just want to like converse. So around the campfire is where that naturally happens. And then Sunday morning while Barry's getting breakfast ready, if you're coming out to an event at the ranch, and these will shift as we move this event series around the country on the tour, but if you're coming out to the ranch at the end of February on Sunday morning, we wake up, grab our journals, go out to the mountains, and I have a journaling exercise that you do and a little like surprise thing that I will send to you later. But that is like the reason that you should come. It's not.
Next time on Williams in the Wild. What's going on over there?
I think we got our, it looks like we're officially a Hiking My Feelings Inc. in the state of California. And so now we just need to apply for 501c3 status with the IRS.
All right, then.
Yeah.
That's another step forward.
It's another step forward.
Excellent.
It's a big one. So now we can go start getting the things in place so we can start making the donations people make tax deductible.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Right
and
on.
get grants and turn the whole ship around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we're not turning it around.
Well,
we're just making it go
forward.
faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.